My wife and I live at the base of the Blue Ridge Mountains. We have 2 beautiful daughters. I've always wondered, does anybody ever stand up and say, I have 2 ugly daughters? I mean, mine are beautiful. Seriously, they're beautiful. We live in a log home in the middle of the woods on the Shenandoah River. I'm in absolute heaven. And shortly after we moved out to the country, I was coming home from a JMU event late at night. Where I live, there are no streetlights. I'm driving home, and I came driving around this curve, and then all of a sudden, bam, I hit something. And the next thing I saw was this big black bear flying towards my windshield. Totaled my car. Actually totaled my wife's car. I drive a truck. I don't know why I was driving her car that night. The bear didn't fare so well. A month later, a woman came around that same curve. She hit a bear, and she was killed instantly. And the reason I tell the story is, we don't know what tomorrow will bring. This is it. This is what we have. And so what we have to do is we have to figure out today, what am I going to do to add value to my life? And what am I going to do to add value to somebody else's life? And to me, that's what leadership is all about. That's what it's all about. And if that's the case, then how can I be that inspiring leader? You know, our theme today has been fool's gold. Well, the fool's gold about leadership is that leadership is about power. That's what it's about. But it's so wrong. Leadership is not about the power. What leadership is about, it's about being that person of integrity. It's about being a thriver. It's about being a servant leader. So let's look at those real quickly. Being that person of integrity. You know, when we think about integrity, we know it means that we walk our talk. Everybody's heard that. We keep our promises, our behaviors match our beliefs, all of that. Integrity, that's the essence of who we are. That's the soul part of us. That's where our decisions should come from. I want to share with you one of my very favorite poems. It's called The Man in the Glass. It could just as easily be The Woman in the Glass. It's by Del Wimbrough. It goes like this. When you get what you want in your struggle for self, and the world makes you king for a day, just go to the mirror and look at yourself and see what that man has to say. For it isn't your father or your mother or your wife whose judgment upon you must pass. The fellow whose verdict counts most in your life is the one staring back from the glass. Some people may think you're a straight-shooting chum and call you a wonderful guy. But the man in the glass, he says you're only a bum if you can't look him straight in the eye. He's the fellow to please, never mind all the rest, for he's with you clear to the end. And you've passed your most dangerous, difficult test if the man in the glass is your friend. You may fool the whole world down the pathway of life and get pats on your back as you pass. But your final reward will be heartache and tears if you've cheated the man in the glass. Every night, we got to look in the mirror. We have to ask ourselves, today, was I a person of integrity? Did I keep my promises? Did my behaviors match my beliefs? And on this earth, you're the only one who can answer that question. Nobody else, just you. And for all of us, including me, there are those times when we look in the mirror and for whatever reason, we weren't a person of integrity that day. And that's the time when I have to say, Mark, what happened? Why didn't the behaviors and the beliefs match up? And that's such a critical time in our lives because that's the opportunity for me to reinvent who I am and for you to reinvent who you are. You know, the cool thing about integrity is nobody can take it from you. Now, you can lose it, and you can lose it like that. But nobody can take it from you. So it's about the choices we make. You know, somebody once said that the real test of integrity, it's what you do when you know nobody's looking. And I think there's a lot of truth to that. Inspiring leaders, they're working to become people of integrity. Inspiring leaders are also thrivers. What's a thriver? So I see this continuum. I see a continuum that's got a victim and a survivor and a thriver. You know, if you ask a victim about their life, a victim may say, I've had a hard life. Everything happens to me. You talk to a survivor may say, oh, I've had a hard life, but I'm surviving. And then you hit that thriver. And the thriver says, well, I've had a hard life, but I'm a much better person because of it. Or you just ask them how they're doing, and the victim says, oh, it's a horrible day, just like every other day. Or a survivor says, well, it's okay. I'm getting by, no complaints. Have you ever heard yourself say that? I don't have any complaints. We have all said it. And then the thriver says, well, I'm having a great day. You know why? Because I learned something new today. Thrivers. I'm going to tell you a story about a thriver. So my mother had multiple sclerosis for 30 years. She was a really active person. In the last many years of her life, she was essentially quadriplegic. In the last few years, she laid in a bed, she looked at a ceiling and 4 walls. But when people came to visit her, they came out smiling, laughing, crying because they were happy, spirit-filled. And what I learned from her was, it is not what happens to you that matters. It is what you do with what happens to you that matters. In pure thriver fashion, Mom would say, I have MS. MS doesn't have me. Thriver. So how do we move ourselves on that continuum? How do we move to that thriver status? So I got a couple questions. The first is, how do you invite your day? When you wake up in the morning, what do you say? Do you say, oh, it's going to be a crappy day? Or do you say it's going to be a great day? Because here's the deal. We have the power to make it so, whichever we say. And we will. The power of our words in the morning is so important. You know, I'm one of those people, I believe in brainwashing. Is that okay? I do. I brainwashed both of my children. Every day before school, I tell them 2 things. I love you, and who are you going to help out today? Because I wanted them to know they're loved, but I also wanted them to know that they have a greater calling on this earth. I also brainwash myself. There's 2 questions I ask myself every day. How are you going to make a difference? And what's going to be the adventure? And when I go to bed at night and I look in that mirror, I know that I did my best to make a difference. I always find an adventure. Another question to ask ourselves. What are your passwords for your phone, your computer, your pad? Don't tell anybody. But what are they? Because you know what? You can use those as inspirational injections all day long. I mean, think about the license plates that we see out there and when people have been creative. You know, your password could be love and life. It could be laugh a lot. It could be excel today. It could be ignite. Unless you're a pyromaniac, don't do that one. Okay? But you can put those injections in your life all day long. Or think about your emails and your signature. You know, I end most of my emails with, create a great day. I get 2 responses from that. Or there's 2 things that happen from that. When somebody receives an email from me and they see, create a great day, their first thought is, Mark is weird. But that's okay, I don't care. It makes them think about their day. And every time I type it in, it reminds me that I'm responsible for creating my great day. Nobody else is responsible for creating your great day. You're it. You're it. And the last question I would ask about how do you move to thriver status is, do you have bad moments or do you have bad days? See, I'm one of those people, I believe it's okay to have bad moments. I don't think we should have many bad days. Bad days are reserved for big things, like maybe a death of a friend or a family member, or maybe an illness diagnosis, or maybe a lost job. Those are bad days. But most of what we experience in life are bad moments. And so my challenge is, next time you have a bad moment, acknowledge it, experience it, learn from it, and move on. Don't let a bad moment keep you from seeing the opportunities that are there for you the rest of the day. Have bad moments. That's okay. But don't have bad days. You know, when you go to the mirror tonight to look, because I know you're going to now, when you do that, don't ask yourself, today, did I have a nice day? Ask yourself, today, did I create a great day? That's what it's about. And the last thing from an inspiring leader is they're servant leaders. Servant leaders, the most powerful leaders there are. Because servant leaders, they don't care about titles, prestige, money. What they care about is making a difference. They care about making a difference. One of my very favorite quotes is by Winston Churchill, and he says, "We make a living by what we get. We make a life by what we give." And isn't it true? We make a living by what we get. We make a life by what we give. And when we give, we change lives. We change our life and the life of the person we're giving. Now, I'm a big believer that we should give with strings attached. Servant leaders give with strings attached. Sounds a little weird. But the strings I'm talking about are heartstrings. Because when you give with heartstrings, then the giving is authentic. The giving's genuine. The giving is unconditional. And the giving really means something. It really means something. Most of the work that we do with servant leaders, we don't even see the effects it has on different people. We don't see those effects. But they're influenced because of a decision that we made or an action we took. And it has this wonderful ripple effect, an absolutely cool ripple effect that changes lives. That's when we leave a legacy. People may not remember our name. That doesn't matter. But they're going to be different because we came into their lives somehow. You know, I think servant leaders also need to just embrace grace. You didn't know we were going to talk about grace today. Forgiveness. Forgiveness is one of those so important things for being human. We need to ask forgiveness. We need to give forgiveness. When my youngest daughter was 16 years old, she was driving the car one night on a country road. I guess all we do is drive on country roads. She was driving this car, and she wasn't supposed to be driving that night. And she overcorrected, and she went down through down into a ravine and through a farm fence. The folks who lived in the farm were not there that night. And when we got home, my wife, Jennie, was not very happy with her daughter. And she said to Katie, she said, "You're going to make some brownies tonight, and tomorrow you're going to go apologize." Well, you might imagine that Katie was not real excited about any of this. So the next day, I take her. We go to the farm lady's house. We knock on the door. The farm lady answers the door. Katie says, "I'm Katie Warner. I'm so sorry that I went through your fence." And then the lady pulls out her arms like this, and she says, "Honey, come give me a hug. God must have put you in bubble wrap." What a wonderful example of grace. What a wonderful example of forgiveness. And that's what we need to do with each other. You know, too often we go to our deathbed and we wish we would have told somebody, please forgive me, or I forgive you, or I love you, or thanks for making a difference in my life. So here's my challenge. Tonight, not tomorrow, we don't know what tomorrow will bring. When you leave here, write a letter, write an email, make a phone call. Ask somebody to forgive you, or forgive somebody, or tell them you love them, or say thanks for making a difference. The servant leadership stuff is a good academic word, stuff. You know, one of the things I love about it is that we're starting to see it creep up everywhere. One of my new favorite passages is a takeoff on an old one. You'll recognize the first part. The pessimist sees the glass of water as half empty. The optimist sees the glass of water as half full. The servant leader sees the glass of water, fills it up, and looks for somebody who's thirsty. I've enjoyed being with you tonight. I want to end with my favorite proverb, and it goes like this. If you want 1 year of prosperity, grow grain. If you want 10 years of prosperity, grow trees. If you want 100 years of prosperity, grow people. That's inspiring leadership. Thank you.